About the race card.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that? With some people, I think, who may be in a racial situation are hesitant to speak up because for fear of, oh, I don't want to be judged, and I'm just trying to pull a quick one
Right.
because of my
Right.
color.
Right. Because that's part of the colorblind society that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a national narrative that things are equal now, and when a person of color says that, it's because they can't compete or something. It's part of a colorblind ideology.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is that it's true. And we haven't become fluent to say, well, the truth of the matter is that that person is most likely not going to get the job because they are people of color. That's the truth. Or, you know, the race card, you know, that person got the job because they're a person of color. No, most of the times they don't get that job because they're people of color, and the data shows that. But we can't, as white people, just can't accept that we didn't get the job. Because affirmative action, 400 years of white affirmative action is like, I was supposed to get the job. So in a colorblind society, you can say everybody has a fair shot at it. But if the person of color gets it, then it was because of race. But that's not true. Most of the times, statistically, people of color don't get the job. So if they did get the job, it must have been because they were qualified. But white people have a hard time accepting that because it's usually the other way around. So that's part of the colorblind ideology that we're in. And so I go back to Michelle Alexander. She says the new Jim Crow in the age of colorblindness, because we're supposed to be post-racial, and we're far from it. All data says, oh no, it's still there.
If you think about social media that has such large impact on many, many levels, what's, in your opinion, how is social media either enabling, fostering these racial biases to continue to live on? And
so which social media are you speaking?
Let's focus on maybe like Twitter. I won't even talk on the news yet, but let's say like Twitter, where people are just communicating and sharing their opinions.
You know, I just want to say, I love Facebook. And my friends are kind of like, you know, like-minded people. But I think there are a lot of cowards on social media. You know, you'll post something and some coward will hide behind some, you know, and say like really disgusting things. So I just want to say that we need to have a national narrative that's out in the open. So many things are said and people just believe it because it's being said. So, you know, the downside of it is cowards hide and they say horrible things and perpetuate things. And with social media, you could take a clip of something and just say whatever you want. But the other thing is social media also helps us to organize. Because if you have a powerful group of friends, your circle is powerful, you can have intense dialogue. Like, for instance, about 2 or 3 years back, there was an execution that happened. And even with Trayvon Martin, I have to say, if you looked on Twitter, you would see a lot of people, you know, supporting one another. When the verdict came in, I was so distraught and beside myself. I didn't know what to do. I went on Facebook and I put my free conference number on Facebook. And within 3 or 4 minutes, we had 12 people on the call from around the country. That's the power of social media to help us organize for change. So I have an 800 number, it's like, you know, free conference call. Put it on Facebook. 12 of us were on the phone. I don't even know who these people were. We were just really consoling one another that we couldn't believe what had happened. That George Zimmerman was found not guilty. And a few years back, the same thing happened with an execution of a man in the South. They stayed the execution, and then they killed him. And we just couldn't believe that this was happening in this society. You know, a society that's supposed to be a civil society with the largest number of its own citizens incarcerated, and we're still killing people. There's no other civilized culture that we compare ourselves to that does that. Wow.
Now, I was going to touch a little bit about the news and how the media is delivered and the stories are written or told to the audience.
Oh.
Can you share some of your opinions on that?
Yes.
And where can we, what is the impact currently today being seen because of the way it is, and how can we start improving?
Right. You know, I just want to say, wow. You know, John Hope Franklin was a black historian, and he died recently. And he, years ago, wrote a history book that was like the truth. I had the privilege of being with him and a bunch of people for an awards dinner.